And then in 1st through 3rd grade, all of the classrooms have their novels and their books leveled, so the teachers know what books are at what level, so that when kids are reading, and they have groups that read together, and they'll read a novel together, they're reading right at the right level for them, because that's how you make the most progress. If the book is too difficult, you don't learn as much. If the book is too easy, you don't learn as much. Like, right, just easy enough is how you move quickly. So they level their books. And then Daily 5, 1st through 3rd grade, is where the kids learn how to really work independently. And it takes 6 weeks at the beginning of the school year to train the kids how to do this. To train them, how do you go and pick out a book at your level and then sit silently and read it for 20 minutes. At first they go for 30 seconds. Can they sit with a book? Literally for 30 minutes. Like, whoa, we made it a minute. You know, they're by the end of the training, the kids have 5 things that they need to do on one particular work period. It's like a 2-hour period. They do it in their own order, so every kid's doing something different. And they know exactly, how to pick a book and read it silently. They know how to pick a book and read it to a friend and read with expression. So a kid might be sitting there. They know how to pick out spelling things that they're working on and work on the spelling words. They know how to write in a journal and using the step up to writing, write with things like that. And so then they can work independently. So they're practicing both independent learning, managing their time, and also all these skills of language arts. Any questions? Am I boring you guys?
Not at all.
So it's interesting. Okay.
Actually, a quick question about cursive writing. In the transition from printing to keyboard, my impression is that with a lot of kids, cursive kind of falls between the cracks. And is it important for development? Is it a part of the curriculum?
It is part of the curriculum.
Okay.
3rd grade, they do handwriting without tears using cursive, and for a lot of kids, that helps them a lot. Something changes, they're able to do the cursive better, and for other kids, they go right back to printing afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of our curriculum. Sometimes we start by having an intervention. And then we realize, no, if we just give this to everybody, we catch them all, and you don't have to make someone be pulled out and feel like they didn't learn something. It works well for everyone. And I think cursive is kind of in that boat.
Okay.
It kind of helps some of the kids.
Okay.
And so then I wanted to say also in language arts, we also have a phonics programs. We have zoophonics for the kindergarten, so they're learning, basic sounds, and then we have SIFs, which is a program that is very. It's very systematic of this is the sound. Everybody say k now. Can you say cat like that? And we found that really helps the kids later with their spelling, and that it really helps. Some kids intuitively pick up reading by when you're using more whole language approach, and other kids don't. And so this really, it's like breaking it down into the littlest piece is really good for some of the kids. So we were doing that as an intervention last year. Now we're doing it for the 1st graders, for almost all the 1st graders, so that they have that as well as all the other language things. Let's see, math and language arts. So science. So science, we, in all of our curriculum, teachers are very, I give them tons of freedom. They can, if they have a better way to teach it, go. But they're guided by the curriculum we have, because there's so much good research on this. The people who wrote this had to do tremendous research of, do you introduce this before this? Does that help? So they're guided in those, but they can add to it or change it, or do it at their own pace, or substitute another piece in there. So science, we use TOS, which is the Lawrence Hall of Science curriculum is developed. Everything we do is standards-based, so the standards they're written out, in little tiny pieces what you're supposed to teach in every subject, every grade level. You can find that on the web. One thing you should know is that of course, the people who wrote the standards wanted to make sure they didn't leave anything out, and of course, then as we started using them, they're literally discovered that if you were to teach all of the standards, kids would be in K-12 education until they were 26 years old. You can't do all the standards. So then there's this thing of, oh, well, power standards, and no one has exactly decided what the power standards are. So, everybody's trying to figure that out. And now there are national standards that will, in the next 3 or 4 years, will be developed, and they're slightly different than the California ones, and we'll make the transition to that, and it'll get more refined. But we're guided by the standards, but it's also a lot about deciding what seems most important, because there's just too much in there. So the Large Hall of Science is a fabulous program. I didn't have room in my room to bring in. It comes in these boxes, big kits. So like trees is one of the ones for the kindergarten, and it has it's all lab based. That's why it's boxes. There are in the trees curriculum there would be microscopes or little whatever it is, magnifying glasses. There'd be tree identification books. There'll be different things in it. In the solar energy one, which I think the 456 is doing right now, there'd be ways to make solar ovens, and there'd be projects you saw outside that they were, the kids were going out at different times of the day, standing in the sunlight, and then tracing themselves in chalk on the ground. So they were plotting where the sun is at different times of the day, and then using that to work with solar energy, like how you would do a solar panel, or where how you would position that. So each of the kits, we have 36 kits at the school. They take up more room than would fill this room. It's so much materials, but it's so fabulous, because instead of the kids learning science just out of a book, they're doing hands-on manipulations, and it also uses the scientific method, and it's a great curriculum. At the 7-8, they move out of the FOSS kits, and they use Prentice Hall, and they have 1 year they do life science, and 1 year they do physical science, and they do a lot of labs as well in both of those. Courtney teaches the science. And then in environmental studies, they use the YES curriculum for environmental studies at the 7-8.
I didn't know they had a curriculum. I know.
Yeah.
I've seen the magazine.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't know much about that curriculum, but Justin told me about it. I didn't realize that. So let's see. Oh, I forgot. In 7-8, language arts, they read probably 10 novels during the year. So they read them as groups, and they do all sorts of discussion and things with them. And they also use this book, Elements of Literature, that has all different reading, writing, and comprehension stuff in it. Social studies. Social studies is developed almost individually by different teachers depending on the grade level. The youngest grade level, the standards are about knowing yourself, knowing your family, knowing your community, understanding those things. And so that's why the little kids do all those field trips to the firehouse, the police station, and finding out what's in the community and how a community is built. And they do lots of social emotional intelligence. We have a program called Second Step, which is empathy and impulse control training. And so it has all these big pictures like this, and then a curriculum on the back that the teacher's using. This one says, today we're going to talk about feelings. Knowing how other people feel helps you get along and be friends with others. I'm going to show you pictures of 3 children, one at a time. You'll say how you think each child is feeling. So some kids are very intuitive from age 1. They notice if someone's feeling sad. Other kids, they really have to be taught. See that look on my face? Do I look pleased? I'm not pleased when I look like this. And so this curriculum helps. It's that other thing of, bringing everybody up like that. And we also have a curriculum called Rainbow Kids that the kindergartners use that's also about feelings. Let's see. And then in social studies, moving up through the grades, starting in 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, the teachers use History Alive along with other curriculums. So they design their own curriculum, but they also, in the 7, 8, they mostly use History Alive. And this is a fabulous curriculum. It has the kids dress up and pretend that they're judges on the Supreme Court on doing a decision, or they, there's all sorts of of kind of role play kinds of things they have to do, and critical thinking they need to do. It also, they have workbooks in which they learn how to do note taking. So they're reading, and then it has graphic organizers. So rather than just they got a blank piece of paper and they're trying to learn note taking, it's really embedding right in there how you do how you work that skill of taking a lot of information and distilling it into something smaller. So our for history and science, because we have at least 2 grades in each classroom, if the standard said 7th grade was doing United States history, that may not be what's happening. We do, one year we do U.S. history, the next year we do medieval, the next year we do U.S. again, and the next year we do medieval. So in the 2 years that they're in the 7, 8, they're going to get all the science, and they're going to get all the social studies, but not necessarily the same year that kids in another school would get it. And that can be a little tricky because the STAR tests, of course, test you by what they say 7th grade is supposed to be learning. So it might be a year since the kids had the subject that they're being tested on in science and social studies. We try to do some review with them on that. And the same is true in the 4, 5, 6. We do a loop of the curriculum that's in 4th, 5th, 6th. So they'll get all of it. But a child who comes to our school for 1 year and leaves might not get the curriculum that they should. We're aiming for people who stay.
And what is the loop? It's U.S., medieval, ancient?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I should know that, but I don't remember at the moment.